Statistically speaking, predictions aren't all that special. Everything is bound to happen given enough time. So are psychics just good at making vague predictions, or do some people really see into the future? Perhaps no other name is as popular as Nostradamus, an astrologer and reputed seer who lived from 1503 to 1556 AD. In his book, The Prophecies, he listed 942 predictions that are all said to happen in the future, and a lot of which, some people say, have already. So, which of his predictions were irrefutably and bizarrely accurate in detail, and which were just vague storytelling guesses where people could fill in the blanks? Come along. Today, let's look at 10 Nostradamus predictions that came true. But before we get started, why not become an archivist today by clicking that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads? If you end up enjoying this video, let us know by giving it a thumbs up, and in the comments section, tell us some of your predictions for the future. Number 10. The death of Henry II. King Henry II of France was lined up to joust the younger Gabriel Comte de Montgomery, Seigneur de Lorge, a nobleman, in the summer of 1559. It was a friendly endeavor, which is strange, as it's literally rushing someone on a horse with a sharp, pointed object. The definition of entertainment varies, and just as it was coming to an end, Montgomery's lance splintered into two shards as it tilted up and went through the king's visor, hitting his eye. The other went into his temple. It wasn't over, though. He suffered for 10 days before dying. So, why do people associate this with a Nostradamus prediction? Let's take a look. The young lion will overcome the older one on the field of battle in a single battle. He will pierce his eyes through a golden cage. 2 wounds made 1, then he dies a cruel death. What do you think? Are people projecting? Or did Nostradamus really see this in his mind long before it happened? Number 9. The Great Fire of London. In 1666, a fire started in Thomas Farriner's bakery on Pudding Lane. A great location for a bakery. And it turned into one of the biggest in London history. It became a 3-day fire that engulfed the city and killed at least 6 people. The Black Death really died out during that fire, likely because millions of rats carrying the disease-ridden fleas died. People think the original prediction refers to this. It said, "The blood of the just will be lacking in London, burnt up in the fire of 66. The ancient lady will topple from her high place, many of the same sect will be killed." Do you see why some people think the Great Fire of London could have been what was linked to this prediction? Number 8. The French Revolution. The French Revolution happened back around the time everyone else was rebelling. The U.S. was just getting independence, and the French were through with its aristocratic rule. They started a revolution, stormed the Bastille, and used a fortress as a prison in Paris. It was wild. Peasants took control and kidnapped the royals, demanding that their wishes be granted. Those wishes being simple human treatment. They actually went as far as to behead some people. So, how did Nostradamus see this coming? Or did he at all? Here's his prediction. Songs, chants, and demands will come from the enslaved, held captive by the nobility in their prisons. At a later date, brainless idiots will take these as divine utterances. Number 7. Napoleon's Conquest. This next one is eerily specific. Naming 3 towns almost to the letter, Nostradamus predicted Napoleon's conquest, the man who came from a non-royal family. Napoleon, who took power during a coup and imprisoned 2 popes. Nostradamus said, "Paul, Ney, and Laurent, more fire than blood, swimming in praise. The great man hurries to the confluence. He will refuse entry to the magpies. Pampon and Durance will confine them." Paul, Ney, and Laurent reference 3 towns in Paris, though the last one is wrong. It's actually Oloron. Rearranging the cities, you can spell Napoleon Roy, which some people say is purposely close to Napoleon King in French. The more of fire than of blood could refer to Napoleon's background, and refuse entry to the magpies is said to be about the popes. Number 6. The Spanish rule of King Philip II. Nostradamus' prediction went like this. For 7 years, Philip's fortunes will prosper. He will reduce the Arab army. Then, halfway through, things will perplexedly turn against him. A young onion will destroy his fortune. First of all, let's talk about that 7. Biblically, it's apparently just a metaphor for a long time, which is how long King Philip II ruled in prosperity. The Catholic King Philip II started his rule in 1556 and became incredibly wealthy in the first part of his rule. However, in 1587, the execution of Mary, Queen of Scots, ended their alliance with England. A year later, he tried to invade England, but failed before really doing anything. There's a bit that hints at the Battle of Lepanto, where Spain took down the ships of the Ottoman Empire, a southern area inhabited by many Arabs. Philip even kicked them out of Spain later. Number 5. Louis Pasteur's discoveries. Louis Pasteur, a French chemist and microbiologist, was responsible for discovering that the growth of microorganisms causes fermentation. With this, he was able to prove that bacteria don't just appear, but rather it grows from other organisms in a process called biogenesis. He wasn't the first to propose germ theory, but he was able to convince a lot of Europe about the validity of it. He's also responsible for inventing a process to remove bacteria which was named after him. You might have heard of it. It's called pasteurization, like what we do to milk. He also worked on creating vaccines for rabies and anthrax, both of which were accomplished thanks to his work. In 1995, however, a science historian published a book with not so great news about Pasteur. In the book, he said that Pasteur had incorporated someone else's findings in order to make the anthrax vaccine happen. With this revelation, the scientists and his reputation took a hit. So, what was Nostradamus' prediction? The lost thing is discovered, hidden for many centuries. Pasteur will be celebrated almost as a godlike figure. This is when the moon completes her great cycle, but by other rumors he shall be dishonored. Now, I don't know if Pasteur is a common last name in the time of Nostradamus, or if this is a strange translation, but this one seems a bit precise. What do you guys think? Number 4. Hitler. There's not a lot to say about Hitler's terror on Europe and in the whole world that you don't already know, but briefly, Hitler was born to poor parents in 1889, and he used his persuasive skills to mobilize people as the leader of the Nazi Party in Germany. As part of the Axis powers, they also allied with Japan in the Far East. The original prediction doesn't say Hitler, but rather Hister, which some people believe to be a typo, while others believe that referred to the old name for the Danube River. Both are applicable because Hitler was born just miles from that river. Here's what Nostradamus predicted. From the depths of the west of Europe, a young child will be born of poor people. He who by his tongue will seduce a great troop. His fame will increase towards the realm of the east. And beasts ferocious with hunger will cross the rivers. The greater part of the battlefield will be against Hister. Into a cage of iron will the Great One be drawn when the child of Germany observes nothing. Number 3. Charles de Gaulle. You might not know who this is, so let's take a look at the prediction that Nostradamus wrote first. Hercules became king of Rome and of Denmark. A man named de Gaulle is a 3-time leader. Italy and the waters of Venice will tremble. He will be renowned above all monarchs. Charles de Gaulle was the first leader of the Free French forces based in London during World War II. After, he was the prime minister of the provisional post-World War II government and continued to lead much of the country. Then, in 1959, he undertook the first presidency of the French Fifth Republic. This basically means he moved from post to post of leadership in French government despite the massive changes that went on in World War II and in the French way of governing their people. This may not seem like a huge thing to predict, and frankly perhaps it's not, but many people believe that Nostradamus had this one very well thought out. First of all, the name is a dead giveaway. He names several countries that did, in fact, fear France at the time. Number 2, the atomic bomb. This one you're probably very familiar with, so let's get straight into the prediction and see how it matches. The heavenly dart will stretch its course, death in the speaking, a great achievement. The proud nation brought low by the stone in the tree. Rumors of a monstrous human bring purge, then expiation. Not quite as specific and explicit as the other predictions. There are no people being named, no places being mentioned, so way more abstract than the others. So what actually happened during the atomic bomb? The United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan in August of 1945 in the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. For many war historians, this is what marks the end of World War II. As you all know, in the aftermath of the atomic bomb, the people who escaped still suffered radiation poisoning, most of them still dying due to their injuries. The stone in the tree that Nostradamus wrote about could mean the shape of the mushroom cloud that engulfed the sky above the city, like we see in famous pictures of the event now. Number 1, the assassination of JFK. Another super famous one, or rather infamous. This one you will 100% have heard about. So let's take a look at what Nostradamus thought would happen and why historians think this is referring to JFK's assassination. The ancient task will be completed from on high. Evil will fall on the great man. A dead innocent will be accused of the deed. The guilty one will remain hidden in the midst. So, how does it fare to the actual events? Kennedy's assassination in 1963 definitely came from on high, seeing as the bullet entered from his head from roof level. The man accused of the crime, Lee Harvey Oswald, actually died before the time of his trial. In fact, a Dallas nightclub owner killed him while he was in police custody. Before he died, Oswald persistently said that he was innocent. To this day, we're not entirely sure who killed JFK. However, many Americans still believe it was a conspiracy.